Blackmore.
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
The deadly arts of the Nunchaku. It's hard to believe this used to be a simple farming tool, and as you can tell just from that little introduction, in today's episode of Weapon Select, we are going to be going over the Nunchaku, which, oh boy, this has a deep-rooted history when it comes to fighting games and action beat 'em ups too as well. All thanks to our boy Bruce Lee out there just making this weapon so famous out there, as it has exploded in popularity, even still to today. But we're going to be going over a short little history brief on that, and then just like the other videos as well, we're going to be doing 2D fighters, 3D fighters, and then action beat 'em up in those categories. So if there's anything that I do happen to miss, please let me know down there in the comments as well. But again, I just have to say right here and then, like, thank you for the wonderful support of the Weapon Select series, y'all. You don't know how much it means the world to me just saying y'all come out and just show support. But anyways, you guys are in for a treat. Kick back, grab your snacks, and enjoy today's video, folks. Check it out.
The Nunchaku, originally a farming tool from Okinawa, Japan, transformed into a martial arts weapon, most famously associated with Bruce Lee, traditionally used for threshing rice. It became part of the Okinawa Kabuto martial arts and spread globally in the 20th century. Its lightweight, dual-stick design allows for rapid strikes, defensive blocks, and complex joint manipulation techniques. The weapon's crazy rise in the 1970s in cinema and just kung fu flicks out there turned it into a pop culture icon, even finding its way into fighting games and action beat-em-up titles throughout the years later, just showing off its speed and flair. Coming from the real bout Fatal Fury era, Han Fu, inspired by Jackie Chan's character in Police Story. He's a Hong Kong cop who brings a pretty cool yet comedy flair to his fights using the Nunchaku. I wouldn't mind seeing an interesting modern day approach to him in City of the Wolves or any future titles out there. It's already pretty amazing how a lot of his Nunchaku techniques actually flow pretty well in this game, I might add. Street Fighter V, Xiao Yu. One of the dolls under M. Bison's command, Xiao Yu uses Nunchaku, though not playable. Her background within a Shadow Fall story shows her off a bit. Maybe one day we'll get more of the former dolls as characters. Shadow Fighter, Li Chen. A pretty old school, obscure fighting game coming from the Amiga CD32 back in 1994. A kung fu master named Li Chen uses nunchucks as one of his special moves. I believe this game was one of the many Street Fighter II clones during the time. This one in particular I have never heard of, so it's pretty fascinating getting a first time look at this. Injustice 2, Michelangelo. The turtles make their splash in Injustice 2 once again. The cocky Michelangelo is your Nunchaku representative. I believe even in the meta of the game, he was one of the best characters at some point. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, Mikey is pretty well animated and handled like just awesome in this game. EA Kung Fu, Nunchaku Fighter. This game making its return in another video. You're probably going to see that happen for one or two more videos. It has one of the earliest examples of a Nunchaku fighter, simple but effective, which I feel helped fuel the concept of a Nunchaku fighter in fighting games later down the line. Killer Instinct 2013, Kim Woo. a young martial artist chosen as a modern-day dragon guardian to battle ancient evils like Gargos. Making her debut in Killer Instinct 2, she's always been the go-to gal when it came to nunchaku use throughout Killer Instinct. Even in her brand new rendition in the KI 2013 version, it's amazing to see how much love is poured into her design aesthetic, just bringing her into a much more modern, up-to-date look that represents at least something close to this time. On top of that, a lot of her attack animations and everything is just super crispy and fluid when it comes to just showing off the display of Nunchaku. If Microsoft can ever sit there and pick up this series once again, hopefully we get to see Kim Woo make her return. Mortal Kombat 11, Liu Kang. Liu Kang has always been the go-to Bruce Lee-like character in Mortal Kombat. MK11 adds much more flair to him with adding nunchucks as his staple weapon between strings, fatal blows, even his specials, which I'll say is a pretty nice addition to his gameplay. Sadly, I think that's the last we will ever see that version of him ever again. Tekken 8, Martial Law. Obviously, he's heavily inspired by Bruce Lee. Law's nunchaku in Tekken 8, a lot of his new moves are real fast and deeply cinematic, even rooted into his rage art with a couple of strikes with the nunchucks and finishing off with a beautiful stomp from Enter the Dragon. In my honest opinion, I still find martial law as one of the best Bruce Lee representatives in fighting game history. He may not be body size wise, but the flair and aesthetic fits the bill so much. Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance, Johnny Cage. Mr. Hollywood himself, Johnny Cage in the 3D era, uses nunchucks in Deadly Alliance, in which I'll be honest, something I wouldn't have expected for him as a weapon of choice. Mortal Kombat, Deception, and Armageddon, Zombie Liu Kang. In this version of Liu Kang, for his weapon, he does use the nunchakus, which is something I will say fits his overall aesthetic as the Bruce Lee type, and it's probably the only iteration for the 3D era that you're probably going to see Liu Kang use this weapon, and I'm sure this is where the basis of that idea NRS went back to use that as a template for his MK11 iteration. Soul Calibur, Maxi, a pirate who blends Jeet Kune Do with nunchucks, in which I'll say he's probably the best representation you'll ever find out there in a 3D fighting game of using the weapon. Soul Calibur never disappoints with its weapon martial art representation, so check out Maxi's weapon exhibition if you ever want to check it out and just see what the nunchaku was all about. Anarchy Reigns, I Ring. Coming from one of the most underrated action multiplayer games from Platinum Games, I Ren is the youngest out of the Ren sister trio, along being the most bloodthirsty one. She uses a high-frequency nunchaku weapon when she fights. Check out the game if you ever want some awesome chaotic multiplayer sessions. Ninja Gaiden series. Ryu Hayabusa makes his return once again. So you thought this ninja only knows the blade? Well, think again. He even has training in using the nunchaku. Want some fast, blunt gameplay style? Try them out whenever you get a chance to play any of the Ninja Gaiden games. You'll even see him and Jan Lee from Dead or Alive have this little weapon demonstration exchange going back and forth using the nunchaku. So that should already give you a glimpse that Ryu does not play around when it comes to his training. Devil May Cry, Dante. Even the Devil Hunter himself knows a thing or two using this weapon. He uses Cerberus and several other devil weapons that represent the nunchaku. With some killer styles, flashy, and rapid gameplay, check out DMC3 and DMC5 for some of that Nunchaku gameplay. The Double Dragon series, one of the most classic beat-em-up games in history, even has the Nunchaku weapon as an item pickup. Even something I didn't have a clue on. Another series I need to go back and take a visit on.
I will admit the Nunchaku, I've always only just known it for when I used to grow up and just watch like Bruce Lee films and things like that with my pops. It's crazy to think that it's cemented its place in fighting games and even just action games and stuff out there, but especially fighting games. I will have to say again, it is like beautiful just seeing how Namco transformed martial law into using more and more of his nunchakus into his gameplay as well. Just making him even submit himself much more closer than he already was with Bruce Lee as well. And we have to give it up to our boy when it comes to Soul Calibur and the 3D weapon space Maxi, because he was another character that I really just would play too as well. I'm like, oh, this dude is a pretty cool, like his own little Bruce Lee like status is what I've always like looked at him as growing up. But I will say it is such a treat just to see how a lot of these game developers just handle the Nunchaku in their own respective way when implementing them in these games. So it is such a wonderful thing to see. But anyways, folks, if you enjoyed today's video, please give a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay updated of any new videos coming to the channel. I do appreciate the support, y'all. And we are just getting started of everything that we have coming to the channel. Like I said in the previous video and everything else that I've said in community tabs, we have a lot in store, especially for interviews, more videos, and especially the retrospective coverage of past beat-em-up action games. I am currently cooking up some more that I can add onto that list, but anyways, I can't reveal too much, but I am happy that you all are just showing so much love out there, and your boy's never gonna forget this. But anyways, y'all, this Blackmore here, signing out. Catch you later, folks, and stay tuned for more coming to the channel. See you later, folks. Peace.
The study of Kung Fu fighting is ongoing. Don't ever hope to master all of them. So be careful.